r/AskReddit by Redmond ETS. Taxi drivers at Reddit. Have anyone actually jumped into your taxi and screamed, "Follow that car"? If yes, what happened? I was in New Orleans once and a cab I was in got sideswiped by a drunk driver. The drunk driver then took off. I told the cab to follow him, which he did. We ended up in a parking lot and we watched them go into an apartment building. Cabbie had the station call the cops. I wrote a statement for the cabbie and he called me a new cab while he wanted for the cops. I drove a taxi one summer in a party resort. One night, two guys jumped in and yelled, "Follow that car," which was another taxi that I knew the driver of and I obliged. Turns out, one of their mates was drunk AF and decided to just go to their hotel without telling them. They only saw the guy leaving the club drunk and they thought he was going to a strip club without them. He was actually going to their hotel, as he was hammered. Another time, three girls jumped in the car and said, "Follow that car." The car in question was a black sedan, tinted back windows. Yet wasn't that shady in my honest opinion. We follow the car for 15 minutes, leaving the resort going into a forest. The girls start freaking out, as one of their friends, also a girl, was seen stepping into that car. Yeah, turns out that she just hooked up with some guy in the club they were earlier and she was about to suck his D when we pulled up next to them. Weirdest summer. I did that once as a passenger. We said it as a joke. We were in a group of 6 and couldn't fit in a single cab. So I went into the second cab and said, "Follow that cab." We expected the driver to laugh it off and ask for our destination. Instead, he just took off and followed the first cab. I followed the car. It stopped in a suburban house. Dude went into the house. They were his family and didn't have room for him with them. What a roller coaster. Reality is often disappointing. Friend of mine is a taxi driver and this has happened to him. An elderly man rushed inside his taxi and pointed out loud to follow a red Toyota. This man never explains why to follow, just tries to frantically call to somewhere. My friend asked multiple times if they need to call police, but the man just waved no and pointed to follow the car. They circle around the town, finally ending up to the front of a house where the car followed parks. As the car stops, man says, "Hold on a moment, I'll pay," and jumps out of the car. An elderly lady steps out of the red Toyota and the man, apparently her husband, starts to scream, "Why did you left me at the mall?" Woman is waving her hands screaming back, "What are you screaming about? You are here?" and walks inside the house like nothing has happened. Man returns and pays the drive, being sorry about it all at the same time. My friend thought they were following a burglar or something, but it turned out the lady just forgot her husband at the mall. Funny situation in a way, but sad in a way too, as my friend said. Dementia. I asked a taxi driver that question many years back. He said that happened on 2 separate occasions, and both times, a wife was trying to catch her cheating husband committing adultery. Update. I have been getting a lot of comments on whether the husband cheated on the wife twice. I'm not sure about that, but the story that I was told was 2 different couples. Also, one of the wives actually caught her husband meeting his mistress. This sort of happened to me about 20 years ago. Not a taxi driver, although I was driving down a main road and saw a dude running around with a baseball bat and then come cop cars parked on a side street. Young me decided that I want to get involved, so I pulled down the side street and found a cop on foot a good distance away from his car. I told him about baseball bat guy and he gets on his radio. Guess he got an immediate update on his radio, looks at how far he is from his car and he says, "Can you drive me down the road?" I'm thinking frick yeah, and tell him to jump in. He does, and I am seriously driving around back roads with a cop riding shotgun giving me directions while on his radio. Only lasted for about 2 minutes and then he jumps out to pursue the guy on foot. Not a very satisfying ending to the story, since I never found out what happened. But damn it, that's my story. I'm actually a taxi driver. Bike taxi pedicab. I was hanging out a corner when a co-worker of mine got a ride across the intersection. Suddenly a guy walks up to me and tells me to follow that cab, but keep a distance. This guy looked current or ex-military. Demeanor, haircut, attitude has one of those earbuds like the agents from the Matrix. Exuded the vibe of being very professional, competent and not giving a fudge at the same time. So I was born for this moment. I read all the Tom Clancy books as a kid, all the books about spycraft during World War II and the Cold War, every spy movie ever made, etc. I kept about 100 yards distance and then would accelerate when they went around a curve anytime they were near a light or intersection. I have all the lights memorized to ensure we would make the same light but a little later than they did. At one point a car pulls up alongside and another guy switches places with the original guy and we keep going. After about 12 blocks the pedicab pulls over ahead of us and the guy tells me to pull over. Hands me $20 for a $12 ride, although I would have done it for free just to live my 9-year-old fantasy. Probably just local cops, but I can dream. I had a fare jump in my car, who immediately started berating about my car and how Uber does not allow drivers to use two-door cars. This came as a surprise to me because I was not, and never have been, an Uber driver. I was just parked in front of the hotel waiting for a friend. Oh god, I have a really bad story for this. I used to drive a taxi for my uncle's company. A guy gets in my taxi, says just follow that car, and reassures me it's nothing serious. Except when the other car stops, he gets out and runs to the car we were following and drags the guy out and starts hitting him in the face, hard. I got out and was yelling at him and calling him an asshole for lying to me, and he got all in my face and threatened to beat the snot out of me too. Said a bunch of racist slurs at me, then ran off. The guy who got punched had his nose broken. The weirdest part is that he had no idea who that guy was. I drove Uber for a little while in New Orleans. Do not recommend. And immediately after dropping someone off in the French Quarter had a woman jump in the back with 6-inch bedazzled heels and yell, "Follow that car." Turned out she worked at a local strip club and had left her phone in the car of a guy she wasn't keen to see again. Unfortunately we couldn't catch up to him, so I just took her back to her place of work. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.